Keith, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How about you, Jesus?
Good. Thank you for your time. And I'm excited to have you on the show today.
Yeah, man. Likewise. So, mhm.
So I want to just dive right in.
Okay.
How did you get started as an entrepreneur and what's your story? Because every entrepreneur has their story, right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, how far you want me to go back? That's
That's
that's the
another great
question.
question. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I think of, if I'm really trying to look at the core and I'm thinking, okay, what got me to being an entrepreneur? I'd probably say my late father. Um,
Hmm.
he grew up. He was probably almost like the opposite of me. I'm kind of introvert, but he was definitely extrovert. He was a concert promoter.
Hmm.
He was always telling me stories about Run DMC, and he was in the
Nice.
music, yeah, in the music industry and setting up, LL Cool J or these guys to get to have shows, and
Hmm.
it was like I grew up around that type of environment. My grandfather, um, after after my grandfather played for the Steelers, um,
Wow.
he was a part of that Iron Curtain, and he ended up being a real estate broker. So, um, I want to say it was kind of my family line. That was a normal thing. Everybody kind of had their own businesses and they talked to people. So I was a tech for a while. As far as on the professional side of it, I started off my IT career being like a desk side IT person,
Hmm.
and at some point I started getting some ideas in 20 right around 2010, 2011,
Yeah.
and I was actually this close to franchising with, it was called Nerds We Can Fix It. I don't know if you heard of that one.
Are they like the
they
Geek Squad?
they were going to be, well, at the time I don't know if they're still around, but they were competing with the Geek Squad. This is before Geek Squad really started, gaining, global traffic. Um, Nerds We Can Fix It in Southern California was pretty popular, and,
Hmm.
and I almost signed with them. And then one of my old bosses, he calls me. He's in, he was at Mount Sinai, and that's when I was. Previously, I worked for Dell over at Stanford, and so he gives me a call. He says, "Hey Keith, we can use some help out here, and are you interested?" And so I took that job, and I didn't do the Nerds We Can Fix It. Okay, so and
That's
then
crazy.
later,
Can you imagine if you did?
oh right, I know, and I mean well, here's I might be jumping ahead, but if you've ever seen a franchise contract, I mean, you really got to read through it, and I kind of looked at, that's really when I decided not to. But I looked at it, and I had to pay so much for every territory, and
Oh,
it,
yes.
it didn't make, yeah, it didn't make sense to me. I said, okay, I kind of backed out. And so yeah, you're right. If I did that, it probably wouldn't be the same story. This would probably be an interview of, hey Keith, after how many failures, did you find success?
How to
That
start
type
a
of excitement.
franchise, right?
Right. Yeah, one or the other. So, but
Interesting.
yeah, that was as far as just being an entrepreneur, I feel like I had it, in me at some point, and I had some great opportunities that got me started in getting in med tech going.
Nice.
Mhm.
And you said you worked at Dell for a while, right? What did you do at Dell?
Yeah. So in around 2005, um, I started working at Stanford University Medical Center.
Hmm.
Um, So for all of you that are familiar, Stanford has its medical center. They have university. They kind of have a few entities over there.
Hmm.
I started off as a desk side technician, and the owners of that, right, this the same year that I arrived there, anyone who worked for IT worked for Perot Systems. Okay, so Perot Systems outsourced the whole contract, out there. So we were all this isn't confidential information. Everyone knows that
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
outsourced. Okay, and then shortly after that, I'll say shortly, maybe a few years, maybe I don't know,
Sure.
approximately '08. Don't quote me for it. Dell Services bought out the Perot Systems contract.
Mhm.
So I ended up being a Dell Services employee, um, and I worked at various accounts. I say across, yeah, from the west to the east coast.
And what was more of your job duties with Dell?
Well, I started off as just a technician, and then I went from kind of applications management, directing a small portion of this cultures and values in our IT department, and then I moved to a service management position,
Mhm.
and that was probably my later role when I handled all aspects of IT service management.
And what kind of work would you do specifically? Like what
So imagine,
clients?
yeah, no, that's a good question. So imagine you have a large corporation
Mhm.
and you have an IT team, and if anyone knows anything about IT teams and every day how they function, hey, this is break. Okay, give IT a call, and there's usually one guy that gets the call, so he picks up the phone. Okay, time to go, and well, then what happens is everyone has a problem, and everyone's calling the same guy.
Yeah.
Okay, and and he can't ever get any work done because people call him and say, "Hey, I got a problem. Hey, what's going on?" They run up to the VP's office. I can't figure out how to get this window to close. Can you help me? And you're like, sure. Okay. And in the meantime, you have 30 more users that have actual problems where they can't get access to. So
Right.
anyway, IT service management. It's like we have a lot going on, a lot of spaghetti, okay, of problems, just things going on in this department, that department, in the first floor, third floor, um, and it seems like every time you're at a meeting,
Mm.
um, you have an objective to see how everything's going, and you're just talking about issues and issues and issues,
Right.
and no one ever gets to the root cause and figure out, well, how do we make it smoother.
Right.
Okay, so in layman's terms, IT service management is it's a way to structure your your all your IT issues. One is like incidents, so that's
Mhm.
when there's a problem. It's a break fix. It could be the library, a catalog of asset information. So now we're talking inventory of all your computers, and then you have a problem management where we've had one issue, and it's been consecutively happen. We're going to call this a problem. We're going to find out what the root cause is so we can get to the root of that problem.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other one's called change management. I give an example. The VP calls again. VP calls. Okay. CEO calls. I can't get into my email. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, what do we do? What do we do? Reboot the server. Really? Yeah. Now, boom, hits the reboot. Now you got 100 people calling. Hey, I can't get into my email.
Right.
So change management helps to kind of streamline that process. Where okay, well now what we're going to do is um, we're actually going to plan to reboot the server. We're going to send out a notice to everybody. Okay, and from there, people actually have time to expect that there's going to be an outage. And not only that, the plan to reboot the server, we actually documented um, the possibilities of there being an issue rebooting. So, okay, if the server doesn't come back up, what do we do? Okay, we're going to fail over to the secondary server. Okay,
Yeah.
good plan. It's nothing worse than having a poorly executed, plan,
Definitely.
and you make a change in the environment. And hey, by the way, we just lost a third of our important data. Oh, how that happened? Okay, how do we back out? There is no back out, sir. Okay, that's a bad day, right?
Oh, you guys get a ton of that, and I love the spaghetti analogy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Because I can just imagine chaos everywhere.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
go ahead.
It's easy to you know it's easy to manage one or two issues. But when you have an enterprise, it changes exponentially the way that things, need to be managed.
All right. Totally agree. Now, tell me a little bit about your IT company in medtech.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So,
I know you mentioned that it really started when you were at Stanford, right?
so I would say, again, I, I had an idea. I was going to franchise, and so I had written a lot of different plans,
Hmm.
between that time on starting my own IT company.
Right.
Um, and I just happened to have the perfect opportunity right around 2014. Um, I was just finishing, so I came back. I was at Mount Sinai in New York, as a service manager, and I was at Stanford Children's Hospital, incident problem change, manager over there. Had the perfect opportunity to say, "Hey, Keith, we're opening a clinic," and it was a
Right.
group of physicians. And they said, we can really use your help. You come highly recommended. I said, wow. Um, and I'm going to tell you, one of the scariest things I've done in my life was, as soon as we signed that agreement, I put my 2-week notice in.
Mm.
And ever since then, I never looked back. Um, so it was definitely a pivotal moment of how to start it, because, again, I had a lot of plans written. One of those plans written actually showed some type of, financial, how would you say, savings,
Hmm.
that said, okay, we have 6 months at least of operating budget. And no, we didn't have that. Okay. Um,
That took a lot of
but,
faith right there.
oh man, I mean, I'll tell you, it was like, how many opportunities like this are going to come up,
Right.
but then there's this total unknown, what if. And one thing I'll tell you this, the only thing that I would say that felt like a, comforting, parachute, was, the worst thing that can happen is this doesn't work out, and I didn't burn any bridges. Hopefully, all
Right.
my, previous bosses thought, I did a great job. I gave them notice,
Hmm.
helped them train the new person. I left. I said, okay, worst thing that can happen, this thing falls through the floor, and I ask for my job back. You
Right.
know, yeah, but yeah, it was scary.
I like that because every entrepreneur that I talk to, that you have to take risk. We
Mm,
don't have to, the choice, but there's a level of risk that they choose to get to the next level or to
right,
scale, right? And
right.
what you just explained was taking a leap of faith, um, pushing, though you have those fears or of the uncertainty, right? The uncertainty of the
Mm,
future, you
right,
push through that, which takes courage to do.
right, right.
That's inspiring. That's really inspiring.
Yeah, well, hey, all I can say is thanks, and glad I can, if I can inspire, that, let those be inspired.
Now, what kind of services do you guys offer?
Um, when I say IT services, it's funny. Sometimes I just assume, because I talk to a lot of people from the Silicon Valley. If I
Hmm.
say IT, they say, "Oh, okay, IT." So the first thing they think is computer.
Mm.
Computer, laptop, network. Okay. I would say, just as a consultant, you know, we provide any IT consulting. So if, when you think IT, if someone calls me up and says, hey Keith, we're opening up an office, we want to
Right.
get the wiring done. Oh, okay, just wiring. That's it. Okay, so we'll get you guys wiring. We want to figure out how we can, um, we have a supply shipping center, and we want to get the whole warehouse set up. Okay, so security cameras. What are we talking about? Wi-Fi for all of your,
Mm.
shipping trackers. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Um, so I would say you know, our kind of day-to-day services that we offer would just be IT services. So if you want to manage your environment, antivirus, systems,
Right.
domain management. You log into your computer. I got a print. It's an office setup. That's the kind of the base of what we do. But when it comes to IT, Manny, we have one department. Uh, we do strictly disconnect reconnects.
Mm,
So you have a large company, and you have, I don't know, hey, we got 500 people. We got to move them from one building to another,
right.
and we want to make sure it's done right when they come in the next day on Monday. That they're able to get to their phone, open up their emails, and do everything. Okay, do that for you.
Now,
So
your most popular service, would it be, and correct me if I'm wrong, would it be managed IT services?
correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah,
And you work with small to mid-size companies, or do you also go to large companies too?
all of the above.
All the above?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And just so you know, our focus is SMB. The small, medium. Okay,
I hear you.
but we do take care of larger as well.
Oh. Now, we have clients, Keith, that need
Hmm.
both IT and website development services. How do
Yeah.
you see both our services just going hand in hand?
W- Well, it's a good question, but there's always those transitional pieces when it goes from let's say application to hardware.
Mm,
All right. You, you know what the client doesn't see on the back end is that an application or a service, kind of what you guys do, right? Is
right.
we're always pointing the finger at each other, because it's
Yeah.
like it's like, hey, we got a problem with this, and it's like, oh, that's the tech guys, and then they come to us and they say, hey, well, my website, well, sorry, we don't do websites. You might want to talk to your web guy.
Exactly.
So where the metal meets the application, that's kind of the difference in kind of where we mesh, right? So um, there's a piece where the configuration of these servers,
Mhm.
there's certain system and drivers and things for the operating system or to function, and then the application piece, the actual web platform
Mhm.
and what you actually see, it sits on top of that, and that's where we come in. So we're on the tech side. We
Gotcha.
can get we can get the server spun up.
Mhm.
We can make sure that it's the firewalls are there, and that things are functional when it comes to the operation of that server. And then your guys side, you're like, okay, we're going to make this look pretty for you. Okay, we're going to tailor dress it
Right.
up, and then now you have a functioning website. So I would say that's how I would explain it.
Yeah, and there's usually a small business owner that has doesn't know which one to start with. Do I need an IT guy? Do I need a website developer? And then depending, where he or she is at with their business. And then for medium-sized businesses, it's usually they already have an IT guy or team,
Mhm.
and then they just need to know when to incorporate website development into their budget. Or it's the
Mm.
opposite, right? They already have a website development team, but they're not sure when to reach out to an IT company.
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
always a mixture of those, right?
Right. And it's a real tough one, because you and I both know when it comes to business operations, it really takes the leader to look and see where the priorities are, um, and sometimes that leader doesn't know, the CEO
Right.
exec, um, and that's, I think that's where we come in as consultants. Hey, let me know what's going on, with your environment, and
Totally.
now it's like, okay, well, we have this, we have that. Well, hey, it sounds like what you need to do is really focus on, marketing. You
Hmm.
want people to know you're there. You need a website because you're taking in client information, potential quotes and estimates, things like that, inquiries. Let's
Right.
get this website going, okay, and then we'll work on your infrastructure after that. Let's get the phones ringing, and then start an infrastructure. And then there's other ones where it's kind of like, how does it there's an old school, I guess it's like an old school movie. What is it? If you make it, they will come, right?
If you
Well,
build it, they will come, right?
yeah, if you build it, they so it's like,
I think it's a
well,
baseball movie. I can't remember the name.
yeah, it was a baseball movie. I can't remember the name of it, but some businesses are really heavy on a type of service. So it's almost like, okay, we need to build a web application that is going to input. I don't know. It's going to host a lot of information. It's going to get processed. And well, we can't do that until we have a solid infrastructure. We need teams. People are going to answer the phones. We already have the whole system flowing. You
Mm,
know, that's the kind of setup where you're definitely going to need IT. Um, if it's not happening at the same time, infrastructure, it's going to need to happen first because you need your base built up because you have employees, you have a lot of people here,
totally.
you have a service that, and I think something like that I get would be maybe a design firm, someone who does mechanical engineering or some type of engineering work.
Mm,
Um, their clients have a product. Well, they need to build up their core first. Let's get all the infrastructure working. So all your team is working on their on all their product, and we're going to protect it, and then we're going to put a nice web interface up here for your clients. So when they're ready to send all their projects in or
totally.
send their materials in for edit, we'll have it all set up.
Totally. Now, Keith, I have a handful of questions, but I
Yeah.
know we're running out of time. And
Oh,
but we'll definitely have to do maybe like a part two later on.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to
Hey.
jump onto this podcast show.
All right. Not a problem. Always great, man. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, you have a great day. All right.
All right. You too, Jesus.